Our exploration of the origins of the British Empire takes us back to the late 16th century, a time when England was a relatively modest and somewhat isolated island kingdom navigating the complexities of European politics and international trade. The reign of Queen Elizabeth I, which began in 1558, ushered in an era of significant transformation and ambition. England's geopolitical position, coupled with its growing maritime capabilities, set the stage for its eventual rise as a global power. The turning point came in 1588, when England faced the Spanish Armada, a vast fleet assembled by Spain under King Philip II, which sought to challenge England's nascent influence and assert Spanish dominance over the seas. The Armada, comprising over 130 ships, was a formidable force intended to deliver a decisive blow to England and reassert Catholic supremacy. However, the English, led by the experienced naval commanders like Sir Francis Drake and Sir John Hawkins, mounted a determined and strategic defense, utilizing their agile ships and employing innovative tactics, such as the use of fire ships to disrupt the Spanish formation. The English Navy inflicted severe damage on the Armada. The subsequent storms, known as the Protestant Wind, further compounded Spain's losses. The defeat of the Spanish Armada was a watershed moment, demonstrating England's newfound naval superiority and resilience. This victory was not merely a military triumph. It marked the beginning of England's emergence as a dominant maritime power capable of challenging the entrenched hegemony of Spain and Portugal. The successful defense against the Armada catalyzed England's expansionist ambitions, leading to the establishment of overseas colonies and the growth of trade networks. It secured England's position as a key player on the world stage, paving the way for its rise as a global empire. The defeat of the Armada thus became a symbol of England's capability and determination, laying the foundational stones for what would become the British Empire, a colossal global power whose influence would shape the course of history for centuries to come. The early 17th century marked a transformative period in the British Empire's expansion, highlighted by the establishment of the British East India Company in 1600. This pivotal institution, founded by royal charter under Queen Elizabeth I, began as a modest trading venture aimed at securing spices and other valuable commodities from the East Indies. However, it rapidly evolved into a powerful entity, wielding both economic and political influence. Initially focusing on trade with the Spice Islands, the company strategically established trading posts and forts along the Indian subcontinent's coast, including Bombay, now Mumbai, Madras, now Chennai, and Calcutta, now Kolkata. By forging alliances with local rulers and employing military force when necessary, the company expanded its control over vast regions. The conquest of Bengal, culminating in the Battle of Plassey in 1757, was a turning point that effectively marked the beginning of direct British rule over India, leading to the establishment of the British Raj. This conquest was facilitated by astute diplomacy and the strategic deployment of private armies, which allowed the East India Company to exert control over trade and local politics, laying the groundwork for a formal British administration. Concurrently, the early 17th century saw the establishment of the first permanent English colony in North America, Jamestown, founded in 1607 by the Virginia Company. Located in the Chesapeake Bay area of Virginia, Jamestown faced a perilous start with high mortality rates due to diseases, starvation, and conflicts with the indigenous Powhatan Confederacy. Despite these challenges, the colony's fortunes began to improve with the successful cultivation of tobacco, which was introduced by John Rolfe. This cash crop not only provided economic stability, but also attracted further English settlers and investors. The success of Jamestown and subsequent colonies laid the foundation for British dominance in North America, sparking a wave of exploration and settlement that would expand along the Atlantic seaboard, eventually leading to the establishment of 13 colonies. These colonies would play a crucial role in the empire's future, serving as a significant source of wealth and strategic advantage, and setting the stage for the British Empire's expansion across the globe. By the 18th century, the British Empire experienced a period of extraordinary expansion that transformed it into the world's most formidable global power. The 7 Years' War from 1756 to 1763 was pivotal in this transformation, as it marked a significant shift in global power dynamics. This global conflict, often described as the First World War, saw Britain and its allies clashing with France, Spain, and other rivals across multiple continents. The war's conclusion with the Treaty of Paris in 1763 was a watershed moment for Britain, cementing its dominance by granting it control over Canada, which had been a French colony, and securing substantial territories in India, which had been contested by various European powers. The acquisition of Canada not only enhanced Britain's presence in North America, but also weakened French influence in the region. Meanwhile, in India, the victory in the Battle of Plassey in 1757 had already begun to establish British supremacy over Bengal, leading to greater control over the Indian subcontinent. The Treaty of Paris officially recognized Britain as a global superpower, setting the stage for its 19th century imperial expansion. During the 19th century, the British Empire reached the zenith of its power, with its influence stretching from the Caribbean through Africa and Asia to Oceania. This period saw the annexation of India following the Indian Rebellion of 1857, which led to the end of the British East India Company's rule and the establishment of direct crown rule over the subcontinent as the British Raj. This consolidation of power was crucial in maintaining British control and facilitating extensive economic exploitation of India's resources. Additionally, the empire's expansion into Africa during the Scramble for Africa, marked by strategic treaties and military conquests, allowed Britain to secure vast territories, including Egypt, Sudan, and South Africa. In Oceania, British colonization efforts led to the establishment of settlements in Australia and New Zealand. The 19th century was characterized by Britain's relentless pursuit of global influence, driven by a combination of military prowess, strategic diplomacy, and economic interest, which solidified its position as the preeminent global superpower and left an indelible mark on world history. The British Empire's ascent to unparalleled global supremacy was a multifaceted achievement rooted in strategic maritime dominance, industrial and economic prowess, sophisticated political maneuvering, and pervasive cultural influence. At the heart of this dominance was Britain's formidable naval force, which not only protected vital trade routes, but also enabled the empire to project its power across the globe. The Royal Navy's control of the high seas ensured British access to crucial markets and resources, and its naval prowess was displayed in significant conflicts like the Battle of Trafalgar, which cemented British naval supremacy. This maritime dominance facilitated the expansion of Britain's colonial empire, enabling the establishment of territories and protectorates from the Caribbean to the Indian subcontinent, Australia, and beyond. Economically, the Industrial Revolution, which began in Britain, revolutionized production processes with innovations such as the steam engine and mechanized textile manufacturing. This technological leap transformed Britain into the world's leading industrial power, fueling its economic engine and allowing it to dominate global trade. British financial institutions, including Lloyd's of London and the Bank of England, played crucial roles in financing international trade and investments, supporting the empire's expansion and consolidating its economic grip on the global stage. Politically, Britain's expansion was characterized by astute diplomacy, strategic alliances, and calculated military campaigns. The British East India Company's initial commercial ventures in India evolved into political control, leading to the establishment of direct British rule over vast regions. Similarly, Britain's influence extended into Africa through a combination of military conquest and negotiated treaties, including the Berlin Conference from 1884 to 1885, which formalized the scramble for Africa and established colonial boundaries. This period also saw Britain leveraging its diplomatic relationships to secure and protect its interests, from the signing of treaties to the strategic manipulation of local power dynamics. Culturally, the British Empire exerted a profound impact through the global dissemination of English, which became the lingua franca of international diplomacy, business, and academia. British institutions, including its legal and educational systems, were adopted in many colonies, shaping governance and societal structures in ways that extended British influence long after the end of colonial rule. Collectively, These elements not only established Britain as the world's largest superpower, but also left a lasting legacy that continues to influence global politics, economics, and culture. At the height of its power, the British Empire was the largest and most influential empire in history, epitomized by the phrase "the empire on which the sun never sets," reflecting its vast expanse across the globe. By the early 20th century, the empire's reach was truly monumental, encompassing territories across every continent. In North America, Britain held dominion over Canada, a key player in the empire's economic and military strategies, while its Caribbean colonies served as vital trade and naval bases. The Southern Hemisphere was marked by British control of Australia and New Zealand, both of which played crucial roles in the empire's global operations. Africa, a major part of the empire, saw British influence stretch from the northern regions of Egypt and Sudan to the southern reaches of South Africa and Rhodesia, including extensive territories in West and East Africa. In Asia, India was the empire's most valuable colony, its immense resources and strategic location central to British interests, complemented by British control over Burma, Malaya, and parts of the Middle East. The British Empire's dominance was underpinned by its superior naval power, which not only secured vital trade routes, but also allowed Britain to project its military might and influence globally. The economic power of the empire was bolstered by the Industrial Revolution, providing advanced technology and infrastructure to manage and exploit its global holdings efficiently. The early 20th century marked a pivotal moment with the Imperial Conference of 1907, which was instrumental in reshaping the relationship between Britain and its dominions. The conference granted increased autonomy to countries like Canada, Australia, and New Zealand, acknowledging their growing national identities while maintaining their allegiance to the British Crown. This move was part of a broader strategy to adapt to changing political realities within the empire, aiming to balance the increasing demands for self-governance with the need to preserve a unified imperial structure. The conference represented a significant shift in the empire's approach, reflecting both the evolving nature of its global influence and the need to address the aspirations of its dominions, while continuing to project British power and prestige across the world. The First World War, spanning from 1914 to 1918, was a critical juncture in the decline of the British Empire, revealing the fragility of its global dominance. The Gallipoli Campaign of 1915, a disastrous attempt to secure a sea route to Russia and knock the Ottoman Empire out of the war, exemplified Britain's overstretched military resources and strategic miscalculations. The campaign's failure led to heavy casualties and demonstrated the limits of British military reach. The financial strain of the war, coupled with enormous losses and the necessity to support allied nations, severely weakened Britain's economic foundation. The Treaty of Versailles in 1919, which redistributed Germany's former colonies among the victorious Allied powers, superficially expanded British influence by adding new territories to its empire. However, these acquisitions came with increased administrative and military burdens, further straining Britain's already overextended resources. The interwar period was marked by growing unrest and demands for independence in colonies and dominions, foreshadowing the broader wave of decolonization. The Second World War, igniting in 1939, exacerbated these challenges. Key events, such as the Dunkirk evacuation of 1940, a desperate and chaotic retreat under German fire, highlighted Britain's precarious position and strained its military capabilities. The Blitz, which saw London and other British cities subjected to relentless bombing raids, underscored the vulnerability of British infrastructure and civilian morale. Despite emerging victorious, the war left Britain economically exhausted and politically weakened. The aftermath of World War II saw the acceleration of decolonization, driven by both the economic necessity of rebuilding a war-torn nation and the rising tide of anti-colonial movements across the empire. The shifting global power dynamics, with the United States and the Soviet Union emerging as superpowers, further diminished Britain's influence. The British Empire, once a global behemoth, found itself struggling to maintain its vast territories, leading to a rapid dismantling of its colonial holdings and signaling the end of an era of unparalleled imperial dominance. In the aftermath of World War II, the British Empire faced unprecedented challenges that accelerated the rise of independence movements across its colonies. The war had left Britain economically weakened and politically strained, unable to sustain its vast empire. In India, the struggle for independence intensified under the leadership of Mahatma Gandhi, whose philosophy of non-violent resistance captured global attention. Gandhi's Salt March in 1930 was a masterstroke of civil disobedience, symbolically defying British salt taxes and mobilizing millions of Indians in a unified demand for freedom. This relentless pressure, coupled with the economic hardships inflicted by the war, forced Britain to reconsider its colonial policies. The resulting shift led to the granting of independence to India in 1947, a monumental event that not only reshaped South Asia, but also set a precedent for other colonies. The wave of decolonization spread swiftly to Africa and Asia, with Ghana becoming the first African nation to gain independence in 1957. Kwame Nkrumah's leadership marked a significant turning point, inspiring a wave of liberation movements across the continent. The same year saw Malaysia, formerly Malaya, achieve independence from British rule, reflecting a broader trend of nations asserting their sovereignty. As the 1950s and 1960s progressed, the decolonization process gained momentum, with countries like Nigeria, Kenya, and Cyprus securing their freedom through various means, including negotiated settlements and armed struggles. The dissolution of the British Empire was not merely a political shift, but a profound transformation in global dynamics, as newly independent nations sought to redefine their identities and establish their place in the post-colonial world order. The end of British colonial rule marked the emergence of a new era characterized by the rise of national sovereignty and the decline of imperial dominance, fundamentally altering the geopolitical landscape and signaling the end of an age of empires. By the 1960s, the British Empire was deeply entangled in a process of dissolution, driven by the accelerating global tides of decolonization and shifting geopolitical realities that profoundly altered its global influence. The independence of Cyprus in 1960 was a significant marker in this transition, underscoring the empire's retreat from its Mediterranean holdings amidst escalating nationalist movements and intercommunal strife. Cyprus's departure was emblematic of the broader trend of former colonies demanding self-determination, reflecting the weakening grip of British imperial authority. Similarly, the end of British rule in Zimbabwe, formerly known as Southern Rhodesia, in 1980 symbolized another critical juncture in the empire's decline. Zimbabwe's path to independence involved a complex and often violent struggle, with years of negotiations and conflict that highlighted the challenges and tensions inherent in the empire's attempt to relinquish control over its territories. The final and most poignant symbol of the British Empire's disintegration came with the transfer of Hong Kong to China in 1997. This handover marked the conclusion of a 99-year lease that had begun in the 19th century, serving as a symbolic end to British colonial rule in one of its most strategically significant territories. The event not only signified the end of an era, but also highlighted the enduring legacy of British colonialism and its gradual erosion in the face of new global dynamics and emerging national sovereignties. As the empire's once vast domains transitioned to independent nations, the narrative of British colonial power was reframed within the context of modern geopolitical shifts, illustrating both the complexity of its historical impact and the reconfiguration of global power structures in the post-colonial era. The rise and fall of the British Empire is a dramatic chronicle of immense global influence intertwined with the intricate dynamics of empire building. Emerging from its maritime beginnings as a nation adept at harnessing naval power and trade to expand its reach across the globe, Britain became a colossal force shaping international relations, economic systems, and cultural exchanges. Its legacy includes remarkable achievements such as pioneering the Industrial Revolution, establishing a vast network of colonies and setting precedents in governance and international law. However, this legacy is also marred by profound controversies, including the exploitation and subjugation of diverse peoples, the imposition of foreign rule, and the often brutal methods used to maintain control. The decline of the British Empire, accelerated by the two world wars and a growing wave of independence movements, marked the end of an era but left a world forever changed. The impacts of British colonialism are deeply etched into the cultural, economic, and political fabric of the former colonies, influencing global languages, legal systems, and socio-economic structures. The British Empire's historical narrative is a reflection of its complex and dual-edged nature, embodying both the advancements of its time and the enduring consequences of its imperial endeavors. As the sun set on this vast empire, it left behind a multifaceted legacy that continues to shape contemporary geopolitics and cultural interactions. Thank you for accompanying us on this in-depth exploration of one of history's most influential and controversial empires. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe to stay updated on more comprehensive historical analyses and insights.